Hey guys, it's the doc, and as you know, I don't love health insurance companies, and as I mentioned, it's up to patients and doctors to speak up against the just how horrible these companies are. So I just want to share another story with you guys, and this one features UnitedHealthcare and Optum, two of the actual worst players out there. So today I get a fax from Optum, and the fax says, second request, medical records needed for paid claim review. Dear Mudgil Others, first, the last I checked, it was Dr. Mudgil. Especially if you're writing to me from Optum or United, I expect to be addressed for all the schooling that I had and not just, as Mudgil Others. But that being said, we recently contacted you to request medical records for some of your patients who are UnitedHealthcare members. I never got the first request, but anyways. We've not received a response from you as of the date of this letter. We can't complete our review without the medical records. We use the medical records to ensure claims were paid accurately and verify your adherence to standard billing procedures. Action needed. Please review the list on the last page of this letter. It details the members and dates of service for which we requested medical records. Then please make it a priority to submit the medical records to us as soon as possible. You can find a list outlining what medical records to include at the bottom of this letter. This review will be done by Optum on behalf of UnitedHealthcare. More information about Optum's relationship with United is at the end of this letter. Total racket of a company, but the list that they provide of patients that they need medical records for is this. There's not a single patient listed here. So they're requesting medical records for a patient or patients, but they're not telling me who the patient is. I mean, this is kind of like a booby trap that I know they're setting. It's not the doc's first rodeo, so I know, the nefarious practices of these shady, horrible institutions. But I'm going to go on to read you a little bit more of this letter. If we discover any potential discrepancies with billing procedures or paid claims, we'll send you a detailed report of the findings once the review is complete. Depending on the findings, we may request additional records, perform a full claims audit, and begin overpayment recovery for the claims under review. If medical records aren't submitted, if we don't receive the medical records requested, we'll presume that the claims weren't properly supported by medical records and weren't paid accurately. So again, the doctor is guilty until he proves himself innocent or her innocent. We'll then treat the previous payments as an overpayment and we'll begin the payment recovery process. You would receive further instructions on how to refund the overpayments. For your awareness, based on the patients and claims that are part of this request, estimated overpayment amount is $472.20. And then it goes on to give us their investigator's name, Maria Patricia M. I don't know why they don't give us her last name. Sincerely, the Optimum Payment Integrity Team. Now, this should be called the Optum Shakedown or Embezzlement Team because first, they're requesting a medical record, which again, I'm so used to this. So when doctors see patients, we don't get paid when we see the patient. We get paid 60, 90 days after that. But frequently, we're asked to send our medical records in. They review our records. Sometimes they say they lost the records. They delay our payment, and I'm going to explain to you why that all is in a minute. But anyways, this is a total shakedown. So basically, they're requesting a medical records for a patient that I saw, but they're not telling me who the patient is, right? So that way they can say, oh, you never sent us the medical records a month from now. And then they'll do something called, they do an extrapolation study where the codes that were used to treat this patient go back like a year and they'll say, oh, well, you never sent us these medical records. Now you owe us like $1 million. That's happened to me before. There's a video that I posted called UnitedHealthcare Harasses Doctors, which you should check out. It's crazy. So anyways, so now that we don't have the patient's name, and I know the BS that these insurance companies do, how their modus operandi. So, I know that now I have to use my resources to reach out to Patricia, whatever her name is, at Optum Embezzlement Division. And now I have to waste my time to figure out who this patient is, right? So, you call them, you go through the phone tree, you finally reach somebody, and then she says, okay, we're gonna refax the letter. Okay, so they refax the letter, so that's our second attempt. And the second letter, same thing. So there's no patient listed here. So they're telling me that I saw a patient who I treated, they paid me for, now they want to recoup that money and they need to review the medical records, but they're not telling me who the patient is. So now it's up to me to reach out again to try to find out who this patient is. I mean, this is just all part of the scheme that they run to try to entrap doctors. They'll say, hey, we need these medical records. In this case, they're not even telling me who the patient is, who they need medical records for. just so they can kind of say we never sent the medical records when all we do is send medical records to them, and then try to entrap us into some sort of bigger, repayment. Total BS. Now, let me explain to you why this happened. So, there's two ways insurance companies make money. So you and I, we all pay into the pot. I pay my premium, unfortunately, to UnitedHealthcare Oxford. We're all paying into that pot. UnitedHealthcare are sitting on top of this pot. And there's two ways they make money. They make money by denying services for their patients. So, they won't pay for a procedure. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I posted about my pregnant patient whose procedure was denied because she was pregnant. What sense that makes, I don't know. Or they will deny a prescription medication. They basically are trying to hold on to the money, not pay that money out to their patients for their patients' care. Another thing that they love to do now is that we have high deductible plans or plans with the co-insurance. So even I have one of those plans where you have to pay a certain amount out of pocket. So I'm already paying, thousands of dollars a month for my family's healthcare insurance, but I still have to hit like a $10,000 deductible before my actual insurance kicks in. And that's the way that they can sit on more of that money that's in that pot. And that money they invest in stuff, it collects interest. They're just basically generating that money. They're generating income off of that pot of money they're sitting on. The second way they make money is by not paying doctors for the services that they provide. So now that we finally figured out who this patient is, this is a patient I saw like 7 months ago, back in April. So I saw the patient, we treated him for a rash. He had some other stuff. We did some biopsies. He's out of the picture at this point. He's cured. Everything is fine. 7 months later, I submitted my claim to United. They reviewed the claim. They reimbursed me for it. But now 7 months later, they're saying, oh, you know what? We want that money back. So basically they're basically entrapping me into seeing their patient, saying, oh yeah, we're going to pay you, all's good. But then 7 months later, they say, we want that money back. That's a way that they get doctors to render services. Again, we're paid after the services is rendered, many months after the service is rendered. And they're basically trying to get doctors to see their patients for free. I mean, it is a total racket, and it's up to us, like I said, it's up to patients and it's up to doctors to speak up about this. Our elected officials who we just voted for a couple of days ago, like the Joe Bidens and the Chuck Schumers and the Ron DeSantises of the world, they don't care about us. Their pockets are being lined by UnitedHealthcare. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. That's why it's up to us, patients and doctors, to advocate for ourselves. It's crazy that UnitedHealthcare Optum are allocating their resources to harassing doctors or to denying patients benefits. They have departments in place. They have departments in place to review benefits, to deny claims, or deny access to care for patients. And they also have departments like this department to try to harass doctors and try to recoup payments for services that were already rendered, patients that have already been treated, patients that have already been cured. It's a total racket, and it's up to us to be vocal about it. Let's get it.